Working. Awesome.
Hello, hello.
We're just waiting for the players to arrive. And get themselves sorted. I don't know if they're in game yet. If they're waiting for a game, I do not know. I know they're waiting for their game to start.
We are, of course, here today for Stannis1000 Lord Commander taking on Marsara. Stannis playing, as his namesake is, playing Baratheons, playing into Marsara's Starks in the A Song of Ice and Fire Stats Masters Championship. First round event. We are playing Here We Stand, the new version of that recently got released by Simon. So the new official tournament version of the previously beta game mode. And we see ourselves Stannis bringing a Davos and Renly charismatic heir pairing, playing into Marsara's Rob and Roderick pairing.
What do you think of it? What do you think of the two lists? What do you think of the game in general? What are your thoughts going into this?
I don't know with it being new, I don't know the game mode like instinctively to say which army list I would personally be going for. The Roderick list is aggressive and powerful. It runs 2 lots of Berserkers and a unit of Tully Cavaliers. It runs Stormcrow Mercs with Rick on for that really cheap activations. Obviously, they both have triple NCUs. But the Rob list is in at 10 activations, the relatively standard 10 activation direwolf spam list that we see from the Starks a lot. We see ourselves with all 3 direwolves. We see Rob in the Bowman. Starks 1 swords with Bran and Hodor, Starks 1 swords with Rickon, and then we also see Tully Cavaliers playing into a Sansa, Varys, and Walder Frey NCU setup. I think that this is the list that that Furioku Marsara will bring simply because of its NCU setup more than anything else, and this activation count is very high and very difficult for Stannis1000 Lord Commander to play into. On the other side of things, we see Davos playing on the Stannis side of things, bringing Shira Errol, Melisandre, and Tycho Nestoris. We also see double Bastard Girls with Red Priestesses, a unit of R'hllor Faithful with Davos in and Baratheon Wardens. This is a hyper-aggressive list and is quite card dependent in my opinion. It's not a super reliable list to run, quite card dependent and dice dependent. You're going to have to play well or force your opponent to roll badly with your Melisandre, particularly as this isn't Roose led, so you can't add those extra panic tokens wherever you want. Shira has some extra token control, but I'm unsure about this list, particularly into Starks with their Direwolf's Fervor, high morale. If Marsara chooses to bring particularly the Umber Berserker list, then there are very few good targets for this list to kind of focus on. Plus, he's got Tully Cavaliers in both lists, which means that he's getting that +1 emboldened kind of area zone. So I wonder if maybe, therefore, Stannis will bring Renly, except that Stannis has not had good success with his Renly list. It's relatively standard kind of double Rose Knight Bastard Girls with Brienne in. He is actually bringing Stormcrow Dervishes instead of a 3rd unit of Rose Knights. But this is an almost just like common kind of standard setup now for a Renly charismatic air list. But he's not been doing that well with it against Starks particularly. So I wonder whether or not he will roll the dice, shall we say, and take Davos.
That's interesting. Rolling the dice, taking Davos is, I think, is risky. But obviously, fully something that we could expect him to do. It is Stannis. He does roll dice a lot. He likes to play these games which are actually quite dicey. Alright, okay, so they want me to set the game up, which is obviously fine. Stannis versus Marsara. I'm not going to blank the password out. What can I have it as? There you go. No one saw that, and I'll be kicking them out if they join anyway. There we go. So, I'll make sure that Furioku's aware as well. Yeah, so it wouldn't surprise me that that Stannis comes in to this game mode with a little bit of kind of gusto. He likes to do that.
So Stannis has shown ever since the first international NRG TTS event that he can take Baratheons pretty far. He has a good understanding of the faction in general. It took them right up until the final game, playing into Ariakas and his arcs back then. But of more recent, as of, you know, kind of like recent form, he has been struggling against Starks, and I think that tends to make him want to play into more of a luck-based game, because I think he feels less confident into that matchup. So for that particular reason, I think he will choose Davos. I don't think it's necessarily the right choice, but I think because of that, he will play into Davos. He knows that Melisandre can't be blocked by Varys. If you take that to its logical conclusion, then for me, Marsara would be favoured to take his Roderick list with its very good morale in terms of double Berserkers and the Tully Cavaliers.
Yeah.
But I really am unsure which way the players will go, how much they will have like prepped for this game and how prepared they will be. And like I say, I'm unsure of how the game mode will favour these different things. I think that Stark Bowman could have a real use in being able to force the fight in terms of zonal control. The same could even be said of Brienne in Bastard Girls. Presumably, you wouldn't choose to shoot into Renly's unit, so you're not going to give those extra attacks, but still having a unit which can throw out ranged attacks could be the difference maker in terms of being able to control the spacing, control the zones in a way more consistent than just being able to being a melee unit.
Yeah. It is going to be interesting, I think. I think the Bastard Girls. I think the Bastard Girls can make this game.
Is that we will end up with Rob versus Davos. That's what I think we're going to have.
Yeah.
Even though I don't necessarily think that it's either of theirs best choice. I just feel that it's their staple go-tos, or what they both feel more comfortable with. I think it's what they as individuals feel more comfortable with, and that's why we'll see it.
Definitely. Big shout out to a couple of people. Lestat the Reaper. Lestat the Reaper. I don't know. He followed 7 hours ago, which is an interesting time to follow us, given that we weren't even live. And Kia 1984, who's probably lurking in chat over there. Thanks for giving us a follow as well. Bruce, I know you're about. Give us a shout if you're in chat. I can see Michael Rumsbum's lurking as well. Psychopath, great to see you down here as well. Probably to support his best bud, Furioku. I know he does a lot of stuff with Furioku. I say his best bud. Platinum Nline, nice to see you, buddy. From the TSL, that's great to see you here as well. Give us a shout out in chat. Let us know if you've got thoughts.
Who you're rooting for. Who you think's going to win.
Yeah. Annoyingly, the donations and follow things I don't think are working, which is really annoying. Because everything's kind of... but oh well, we'll manage with that. It's not the end of the world.
People have followed once upon a time, and some people have donated, so you know.
Well, if I've got the activity feed here, so if anything happens, I'll know. Oh, nice to see you, Theo. Barra going sexy king or the true king. Neither of them is sexy. Don't take my word on that. So yes, well, no, N-Line, this is not the only other game played. I have on recording, which I was recording during our other thing, Crag versus Bazu. Yes, that cheers, Bruce. It has finished. A winner was declared. If you're really interested, you could, of course, just go to the Song of Ice and Fire stats page and check out the result there, because they would have entered it, probably verified it.
They have been, and the loser has already been retired.
Yep. So, wow, brutal. But you could wait for that game to be premiered. Yeah, don't look at it if you don't want to be spoiled. Like, that's definitely what I would say, Bruce. We will be putting that game live, and me and Carlo will be doing what we're doing now. Here, me and him. This one. I did a crop and all my hands are too short. Right, here. So we'll be doing like a rundown of that game, even with a mini break in it. And yeah, it's actually a really good game. I will be honest with you. Even though I was only half watching it at points, I was trying to sort out, I was busy at work, sending emails, filling in spreadsheets. I was half watching it, and I kind of got distracted because it was a really good game. It's probably the best game of Here We Stand I've ever seen, which is a big shout, I think, because I've seen some good games. When will this game be premiered, Francesco?
TBC.
To be confirmed. Maybe. I mean, I doubt tomorrow night. I really need a night off. I need to spend some time with my partner because that's been neglected. But in theory, later this week, maybe it's Thursday, Friday, or at the weekend, we'll give it actually the weekend. We'll probably do a big stream where we'll be streaming loads of games. You'll see loads of different stuff from loads of different community content contributors. Which brings me on to a nice segue there. If you're a community content contributor in any way, community creator, get in contact. Let us know if you want to stream something. I'm absolutely fine with that. You know, these games are there for the community to see and for you guys to really kind of like take on board and go with. So we're seeing the list pick here. You're doing all the fancy things with TTS. I love this. I love this stuff you can do. Roderick versus Davos. Roderick, Davos. Is that what you said? Did you say it was?
I said I thought we'd end up with Rob, and yet I thought that Roderick was the better choice because of the really high morale of those berserkers.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting. This is Bruce says the classic matchup. This isn't something that we've seen much before. Davos gets very little time in the sun. We haven't seen him much, and Roderick is generally overlooked. Super interesting game. Let's think about the main things. Now we're talking about these two lists and we know what's going on. We're going to see Melisandre looking to panic bomb the Stormcrow Mercs with Rickon in to apply pressure. That's going to be a really important effect and pressure point for Stannis with his Davos list. But I would say in general, when it comes to combat potential, the double Umber Berserkers and the Tully Cavaliers massively outperform what Stannis has on the table. So Furioku will generally just be trying to push the point early on and make this we could well see. I was about to say we could see a tabling. I forgot that we have the redeploy rules. We're very unlikely to see tabling, but yeah, this is going to be a very aggressive style from Furioku, I would expect, because of his strong combat potential versus the strength of Davos's NCU setup.
Yep, N-Line in chat there, just giving a shout out to Rickon and Usher. Run, child! Yeah, that is definitely going to come into play, I think, this game. First roller game, 4 and 4. Oh, 2 and 3. Stannis really needs to believe in his dice more. That is a 3 from Furioku to win the first deployment. The first terrain deployment piece. Huh. Isn't that odd? We see a Weirwood. Never seen one of them before, Carly.
Yes. We of course will almost definitely see the 50% the 2 Weirwoods versus 2 corpse piles. By placing first piece of terrain, you can have some advantage in being able to control which regions have +1 versus which have neutral versus which have negatives. Interestingly, though, whoever has the better range potential, whoever's going to defend, will effectively choose where the fight will happen.
Yeah, definitely. Another shout out to Rumspum's in the chat. He's saying 50% Starks, and he's really glad he dropped out. He's a fierce believer that Starks are right now the best competitive side, which I think me and you have agreed, Carlo, the best tournament-winning faction to play. Hence the massive 50% of them here. And also Brett's back. He's going to watch this game. Let us know who you support in chat. Let us know. Are people rooting for the underdog in the Baratheon player? Or are people wanting Furioku just to prove that, oh god, Stannis, roll better, please? Gru's also saying that as two commentators from the same team, as one of the players, we'd be super biased. But he also saying that because we're massive trolls, that we won't necessarily be biased towards Stannis.
Yep, if you think that we're biased towards wanting Stannis to win, then you've definitely not been party to how mean we are to Stannis in general in all of our team chats.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I will freely put my hands up and say I've now lost a game in the TSL. But as things stand in our team league results, Stannis is the only person who lost 2 games. So right now we think he's basically terrible. Now, we don't want to hurt his ego too much because then he gets really sad. But I'm going to say here on stream, live, for recording, even though it's currently a chair because I'm making my dinner, Stannis is terrible.
So what we see straight away is we see Stannis trying to deploy deep. Obviously with the 18-inch deployment zones, there is a lot of room to kind of choose where your deployment will be. It's very standard for players to just deploy right up to that 18-inch line. But Stannis is looking to avoid combat for as long as possible. He knows that his ranged NCU power is dwarfed by the combat potential of the Starks. Furioku, while a very good player, I would say, has shown himself to be not as patient as some other very top flight players. So we'll see whether or not he can show enough patience to take it slow to advance on him, or whether or not some early Melisandre rolls can kind of put pressure on Marsara to take big risks and be aggressive. That's what Stannis' game plan really needs to be here. He needs to get some early pressure onto the Starks so that they feel like they're not in control of the activation game, control of the tempo of the game anymore, which they otherwise get to do because of their massive activation advantage.
Yeah. I do think that Furioku's list here is quite an aggressive one. There's a real good chance that this list could just YOLO forward and kill everything. But Stannis' list is not actually that far away from that either. He made a couple of changes from his TSL version. It's not as strong as... It's stronger in a different way, losing things like the Salice combo being traded out for Mel, Tycho. But I like Stannis' list here. I think, this is going to be a bloodbath. And it might take a little bit of time going, but I really, really hope this turns into a bloodbath. I want to see units just dying left, right, and centre. Because I've had a really bad day at work. I've had a terrible stats chat, tourney ground with Carlo. I'm fed up with talking to him all day. I want to see death, destruction, pain. What do you reckon? We
have a very interesting deployment kind of developing in front of us. So this is one of the other things which is often overlooked in terms of how powerful the activation spam and direwolf spam is from the Starks, which is not only do they get to delay activations during the game, control the tempo in that way, they also get to delay their deployment. They get to delay what they're going to do. So we see these 2 dead deployments of the dogs. Very, very interesting, though, that Marsara is stacking a single side of the board and looks to be going absolutely 100% in on going for a kill here. At the moment, he does not have 5 points in his own left-hand quarter, which I think is a little bit crazy. So he's not even claiming his own quarter. He's currently looking like he's going to be 2-1 down at the end of the round, unless he goes for a massive invade with almost all of his units into winning what is Stannis' left-hand defensive quarter, Marsara's right-hand aggressive quarter. He may be looking to flip that on its head, win 2-1 in that way, but it's a very odd deployment, in my opinion, considering he could quite easily span the two of them. He, of course, is avoiding the corpse piles, which have created a +1 morale side and a -1 morale side. So let's see how we develop here.
Yeah. A quick rundown. Francesco just saying a better look at the Stannis sides. We'll do a quick army check just as they finish deployment off here. We see Bastard Girls with a Red Priestess. We've got the R'hllor Faithful with the Commander version of Davos. We have Baratheon Wardens naked. And another unit of Bastard Girls with the Red Priestess. NCU deployment, we see Tycho taking the letters as the first activation for some extra cards in hand. Melisandre and Shira Errol. On Fryoku's side, we have the NCU setup of Caitlyn, Sansa, Arya, the Stark Women, with Rickon in a unit of Stormcrow Mercenaries, of course bringing Osha with him for free. Tully Cavaliers, naked. House Umber Berserkers with Roderick, Cassell, Commander version. House Umber Berserkers with Bran and the ever-present Hodor. And finally, Shaggy Dog and Summer as the free wolves as part of what we see. We see the letters being claimed, the token going down the Tully Cav, Moneybags being taken in response by Fryoku to get rid of that, weakened, and Shira Errol going down onto the horses. Finally, we see some movement.
So let's talk about what we expect the players to kind of like try and achieve this turn. It looks like Fryoku's setting up for a big invade. That means that Stannis probably wants to try and stack himself back into protecting that quarter, or he can try and force his own invade into the quarter which Fryoku has completely left. All he needs to do is cross that line with 5 points worth of units, and he will of course grab himself a VP. We could see ourselves just looking for like tactical VP pickups here from Stannis versus Fryoku looking for a kill. Like I say, he has a lot of on-board power. But of course, with the redeployment rules, it's very, very unlikely that we'll see somebody win by complete wipeout. The Bastard Girls have good range damage because of the Red Priestess forcing through a lot of panic checks with panic tokens. But House Umber Berserkers are not a great target for that. If they can do a wound to the Tully Cavaliers, then they can force through a check, and that could be some good damage there. But really, I think that combats will generally go against Stannis in almost all cases here.
Just a shout out to some people in chat. Hello, N-Line, shouting for your boy Ariakas. That's not biased or anything. Hi, Rossi. Great to see you here, Rossi. Great to see another viewer coming in. And I'm guessing that's Jerry Garcia. Jerry 6 Garcia, but I'm guessing the Jerry Garcia. What's the best defense against the Bastard Girls with a Priestess? What do you reckon?
High morale.
High morale. There we go.
You know, it's,
Berserkers.
It's poor fellows. It's Umber Berserkers. It's
Cave Dweller Savages.
Yeah.
Although
exactly.
no, they just died to getting
we
shot.
see our first morale test coming in.
It's a pass. So, actually, something that I was going to mention on this front with the Stark pickup. I'm not going to say too much about information that I know, but Wolves, Carlo. We saw Ghost in Brett versus George's game, where one open city. We saw Ghost dying to give a victory point to George, putting George in a little bit of the driving seat to win that game. Wolves are VPs that are not that hard to pick up for opponents if they've got ranged, if they've got other options. Do you think that Fryoku's Wolves here are going to actually prove to be his downfall? Which, by the way, if that is the case for this game mode, that bringing Wolves is bad, I am down with this game mode being a thing.
Well, exactly. You know, we've just sat in Tawny Ground talking about this event in general, and one of the things that I really tried to point out and tried to say is that we've seen 50% Starks entered, but the game modes in here were picked for the specific reason that it does not favor the current, like, defined meta, shall we call it, the current meta lists that we've seen win multiple tournaments. So, I think that this is one of the game modes where wolves have almost zero value, as in they are worth a VP. They can't add any points to the control of a quarter. The advanced deployment and the redeployment on the flanks means that they are always mildly at risk. I would expect a good player like Furioku to be very defensive with these wolves and basically activate them relatively soon and hide them towards the back of the army, to the back center of his own deployment zone, because they are going to do very little other than risk giving up VPs in this game. Mm-hmm. The issue with Starks and why they're so strong is even if he does that, sits them at the back and does nothing but waste activations, that's still a big advantage that he can take forward.
Yeah.
We've seen a big role come in, though. We've seen Melisandre come out, and she has bombed 6 wounds off of the Tully Cavaliers.
Boom, headshot. That's what I say to that. That is what you want to see. You, like with all Lance Cavalry in the game, you take off that first rank, and they lose a lot of bite. You know, they stop being the massive threat, which they definitely are early in the game.
Yeah. That is big for a lot of reasons. It's big because it may well stop Furioku from just pushing these Tully Cavaliers straight into Stannis' face and charging first activation of next round. Mm-hmm. He definitely wants to get at least 1 wound back to put them back onto 2 ranks. He is going to be first activation next round, so he definitely can heal them. But you do not want your first activation to be taking money bags, really, in general, particularly as a Stark player.
Yeah, definitely not. You know, this Stark player, your first activation, you really want to be charging. You know, first activation or a sudden charge or something like that. Something big that's just decisive and goes crunch, you're dead.
Yeah.
So we see, interestingly, Furioku's actually activated his recon unit and kind of shuffled it forward, not really committing too much. Furioku's not... Was that 7 wounds we saw on the Cavaliers, actually? 7 wounds, wow. So just over the threshold, wow. That was the full burn, that was the full veil, wasn't it? This is what Stannis wanted. This is what he wants to see from a Mel bomb early on. The problem is it puts the Wardens low enough, and is he withdrawing with the Cavaliers? Looks like he's going to.
That's interesting because he's still going to have to heal them. Otherwise, Melisandre has the reach to go and get them. Mm-hmm. As long as he continuously heals them, they are not killable by Melisandre for quite a few rounds. I think some people overestimate how much damage basically a unit like Melisandre can do if you are intent on always healing yourself and avoiding combat. Melisandre will, of course, be weakening her own units to do it. So there is that trade-off. But it looks like that one Melisandre test has done enough to deter Furioku from his very, very aggressive setup, and we might see him react now and play slightly more conventionally. I would like to see him consider putting a unit of Berserkers over into his other table quarter so that he's not pressured to have to invade.
Yeah, I mean, he has got 2 turns, but I mean, well, the whole of the rest of turn 1, or round 1, I should say, plus the entirety of round 2 to prepare for that. And we see here that Stannis is positioning himself at basically at the 14-inch mark, 13.9 inches we see there. The intent from this move, of course, is to be a shift and a shot away from the recon unit. That's what you want, isn't it? Shift and a shot, make them run away, get yourself some victory points. All right. Okay, let's...
So Francesco says, on average, Melisandre takes 12 runes and 2 activations. Complete lie. That is not average. That is assuming that your opponent fails both tests. That is nowhere near a guarantee.
Yeah.
So, let's be really clear about that. She can spike for 12 damage over 2 activations sequentially relatively easily. And that is an issue because that kills a unit. If your opponent gets in between that 2 activations and begins to heal her, you are moving into the range that, on average, she does not do as many wounds as 6 per activation. Against a unit such as Tully Cavaliers, who have 6 up morale base, and then are within 1 inch of the Weirwood tree, you're talking about a 5. They only fail on an 8. That is not that close to 50-50. Okay? So whatever you think her average damage is, you need to almost halve it. Yeah? Her average damage will actually be about 4 per turn. That's very different to the spike damage that she can do 12 to 14 wounds in 2 sequential activations. Yes, they are 1 Melisandre fail away from dying, but that is not average wounds.
Yeah, it's a big difference.
Really clear about that.
Yeah, Michael runs 1 point out there.
The worst case is bad, but if you're always dealing with worst case, then you're not dealing with Melisandre in the right way.
Yeah. I always deal with the worst case with free folk because you have to, because you basically assume that you fail every time. But when I see Melisandre on the other side, it doesn't make me think I've also lost.
It's very likely, but like I say, in this case, we're talking about Tully Cavaliers within range of a Weirwood. That's not very likely. Yeah, the chance of you failing both tests in a row is way, way below 50%.
Yeah. So yeah, just be careful.
If he were to go and take a money bags as his first activation, he is very unlikely to die from 2 sequential Melisandres on turn 2, turn 3.
Yeah. The important thing here, remember, guys, if it was that good, it would have a really good stats rating, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It would be winning more than the 44% of the games that it's currently winning, which is well below the average of other NCUs.
In the 5-point slot, definitely.
You are, yeah, exactly. In the 5-point slot, you are much, much better, even on the Stannis side, of taking Walder than you are of taking Melisandre.
Yeah.
Currently, from what we can record.
Michael runs from telling me, yeah, because you have a base morale of 8, you can calculate with average 9 wounds. Yep. It's pretty sad. Free folk just died to Melisandre, but I'll be free. I've played against Melisandre and I've nearly beaten Melisandre lists when I've not even played that well. I have beaten Melisandre lists. There's ways you can play. So
what we see now is we see Furioku.
He's playing like a
retreating
flank. Yeah.
Yeah. He is now retreating to bring his Umber Berserkers over into the other quarter. He still hasn't activated the Direwolves, though I would be very surprised if they didn't go defensive based on the fact that all the other units have gone defensive. This has been a very, very good turn for Stannis, in my opinion. So, if we go through what we have Bastard Girls who are currently within range of Rickon and the Stormcrow Mercs, so they can be shot with swords at the start of next round. Next turn should be Furioku's first activation. This is the turn when Furioku wants to make aggressive maneuvers, and yet Stannis has managed to apply enough pressure to make Furioku retreat during this turn. This means that unless he makes a very aggressive move with Roderick in the Umber Berserkers, he has lost the impetus, the first turn advantage up until turn 4. So it is a very interesting position, and I would say turn 1 has definitely gone in favor of Stannis so far, and that all comes down to a close to 50-50. I mean, it's not quite 50-50, but close to a 50-50 morale test that he made the Tully Cavaliers take. Like we said at the start, we think that Stannis does not favor himself, shall we say, in this game, and is just going to play risky dice-based maneuvers. And the first one's gone his way, and that has applied some pressure. That said, we now see the very aggressive maneuver by the Umber Berserkers as the last activation, and we see this activation advantage having its strengths. We will presumably see Roderick do something very aggressive at the start of next round. This unit looks very exposed right now, so it's quite a risky move by Furioku.
Does that just go YOLOing in with the
This is
crit blow card from Roderick, and he's going to YOLO in on the unit of Bastard Girls with a, to be honest, very good opportunity to just blow them up. Do you think that's what's going to happen?
Yeah, if he has that card in hand, then I can see why he might take that move. Furioku, as I said at the start, is of the high-rated players, is known to be one of the least patient, one of the most aggressive.
Yeah. He's no Larks, let's put it like that. He will.
Yes.
Larks
Yeah,
will sit
very
back
different
and
play style to some of the other Stark players who are known to play very, very controlled defensive styles. What are the chances that this unit goes in and wins? Against the Bastard Girls, it's good. Yeah. If he has crit blow, then that becomes big. It also depends on whether or not he has the ability to sudden charge. Sudden charge or any of the cards which apply additional hits can give some advantages. Oh, wow. And we see Summer charge in as the last activation. This was something I was not expecting at all. Which, I mean, I assume means that we will see Shaggy Dog follow it up. And the question right now is, does Stannis have any counter cards? Or maybe we didn't actually see a charge. I think they might have just been checking.
Was it one of those broken prey things?
No, we did see pretty much an alignment, I think.
Fair enough. For those of you who are interested, I just sorted out my dinner. I managed to burn some things, but it's alright, we're all good. I'm going to be munching on this throughout the stream. Don't worry, we'll get there together. Let's see what I've been missing in chat. Bright futures with Mammoths to trample over the barrows in 3 rounds. Yep. We talked about Mammoths on the tourney ground briefly with the pinball list that has been... I'm not going to say I coined the pinball list, but the idea is there from a lot of other people. Yeah, you've never seen Roderick not in Bowman Goose. Yeah, it's very true. Peacekeeper Games Carl says 9. Thank you, Carl Kirsten from West Coast Bannerman. I also agree, 9. Definitely 9. Means winter is coming. Yeah, we're going to see maybe some winter. Brett, seen Roderick in Berserkers? Is really nasty. Yes. And you've also seen Bastard Girls. Yeah, well, Bastard Girls are just one of the best 7-point units out there, I think, available to most factions. So yeah, chat keeping us right, keeping us correct, and more importantly, chat keeping us company. Because let's face it, if it wasn't for chat, I'd have to talk to Carlo the whole time, and that's bad.
So, of course, Roderick himself has expose openings, which means that when he targets a vulnerable enemy, you can reroll any misses. That will come into effect if he suffers a disordered charge. So we'll definitely see the rerolls of the misses.
We just saw some cards.
The real question is, does he have Roderick's card of Press the Advantage, which if it targets Roderick's unit, it gains critical blow on a 5+. That's the kind of amount of damage that we would expect to really push this into wiping this unit of Bastard Girls out. Let's think about the reality of it. Without a Caitlyn on the unit, they are rolling 8 dice. You cannot at all guarantee that a unit of Bastard Girls who look to be within 6 inches of a weirwood tree would fail their morale test. So now you're asking to destroy this unit with 12 wounds. This is direct damage that you're asking for. They, of course, will save on 6s. We're looking to get about 15 hits before you're going to blow this unit up. I do not think that Roderick Cressel is going to come in and kill this unit in one attack. But can he do anything in response?
Let's just look at the cards that Stannis has discarded there. We see a Stag's Wit come down, widely regarded as not being that great a card for Baratheon of the on activation. We also see an everything card come out, which is actually quite useful in Stannis' army, but probably not what he wants on turn 1. Hold the Line coming down, quite a popular card that he just throws in the dirt, and a Parlay. Again, probably not that useful at this early stage in the game for Stannis. But there's one card in his hand he kept. Do you think that that is going to be something like a Last Stand? Or he doesn't even have Last Stand, does he? No, he does have Last Stand. He doesn't have Ours is the Fury? Or is it the other way around?
Yeah, I was about to say, Ours is the Fury would be the kind of thing that you'd want to hold on to. But, so, we're going to see first activation of this charge. Interestingly, I think that they won't kill the unit. And the counter is Melisandre into swords to block swords while also giving you a chance to kill the Tully Cavaliers at exactly the same time. It is a strong counter play, and I really do not think that unless the stars align, Roderick will get a kill here. That doesn't mean it's a bad move. There is not much Stannis can do in response. He doesn't have loads of damage over on that side, but
we've got 3 card plays coming out from Frioku. We've got a Devastating Impact, Combat Prowess, and Press the Advantage. Now, interestingly, Devastating Impact is when they charge. Combat Prowess is when a friendly unit attacks or charges, and Press the Advantage is when a friendly unit attacks. So you can only have 2 of those cards: one on the charge, one on the attack. What do you think? I mean, he may not be playing any of them, by the looks of it. You should definitely play the Devastating Impact, I think, if he wants to get the auto charge in. We'll see.
We see him activate and make this charge. He looks to be playing... I mean, whatever he does, he needs to roll his charge first, otherwise he won't be able to play tactics cards.
Very true. But with Devastating Impact, he might just play the Devastating Impact. But no, he doesn't even get... He only gets a reroll with that. He doesn't even get the auto 6, does he? Because he hasn't got horses.
No, yeah. Like I say, this charge without controlling any zones is not as strong as you might think it could be.
So he's just doing the charge?
So it's interesting. This unit, if it charges, will be very isolated, but at the same time, Stannis doesn't have much in the local area, which can really hurt him for being so isolated. He just doesn't have a lot of damage outside of the Bastard Girls. And the Bastard Girls really want to shoot, charge, attack again, make you take lots of panic checks. So we will we'll see how many wounds they finish this combat with. If they're still on 2 ranks, they are still very dangerous. But I definitely expect to see the swords get blocked in response, and I expect it to be with Melisandre, and for wounds to get sacrificed to go for this Tully Cavalier kill.
I mean, he could. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely do that. Yeah, that makes sense. Even a weak attack versus the Berserkers is better than letting the Berserkers have another free attack. Definitely agree with that. So we see the card play come out, and it's Dev Impact. Yeah, as expected. So what do we see? We see a 1. That's disorderly, but he does get the reroll. It's a 2. So he's in, I believe. And he's going to align. And we see, obviously, Press the Advantage coming out for the crit blows on the 5. 8 dice, crit blows on 5. With rerolls, what? Double 10 hits, give or take. I reckon. No,
Yeah,
that's only assuming 2 crit blows. I'd actually say more like, it's more like 14, 12, 13.
8 with the rerolls. Depends on whether or not he's willing to reroll for everything that's not 5s.
I think I would. Let's see. 8 dice on 3s for the hits. We see not actually that good. It's 3 crits, so 6 hits so far. Let's see what he chooses to reroll.
I would say in this case, he should be re-rolling everything that's not a crit. He needs this to explode big, so he might as well take the risk.
Yeah, he's got the vulnerable token on them as well. Like he can afford to just get as many hits as he can because it'll probably just fail. Stannis teaching Frioku how to use the dice roller. He doesn't use it often. He needs to reroll one of those 4s.
I believe the 4 was actually a 3, so it is a hit. But here we have, as far as I can tell, we have 4 crits, 11 hits, and a unit that will not die no matter what, unless it fails a panic check.
Yep.
This
Let's
is
see how many...
exactly where I thought we were
he
going
got an
to
onion.
be.
He got 1 onion.
And we...
Last stand?
Okay.
Why did he play last stand?
+2 puts us on 13.
Oh, 13 with only 1
And
save.
we are into dead unit.
Yeah.
Bruce is absolutely right. We see the double cards being enough to get the kill.
Yeah.
So the +2 from the devastating impact, and the crit blow cards were the ones that he needed to push through enough damage. And we see him now in a position that is very difficult for Davos to recover from this turn, because he will not necessarily be able to. He cannot bring that unit back on this turn to start the round, and more importantly, he has nothing in the local area which he can bring to bear onto that berserker unit.
Yeah.
And yeah, exactly. Zom saying just Stark things. Yeah, were you anybody but Starks, this is not a move that you can make. But Starks, by stint of a very powerful and easy to trigger set of cards, are able to push that through.
Sorry, just eating my chicken, getting some food in me. Mainly for because I haven't eaten all day. I had some toast earlier. All right.
The question is now the really important question for all high-level players is: can Stannis not tilt? Can he stay involved in the game? Can he work out his best route to getting back into it? For me, I still think that it's probably to Melisandre for the Tully Cavaliers. But that is a very risky play because of the fact that it's only just better than 50-50 that you're going to make them fail. Any fail will kill them, but it's only just better than 50-50.
I'm just going to throw this out there.
You can do it with money bags so that you don't take the negatives. Like you're only, you're healing the 3 wounds that you do. But he needs to get the game back onto an even footing. Killing the Tully Cavaliers will do that, but the game does have bounce back mechanics in the redeployment, so he also needs to not take huge risks. He needs to not tilt. If this roll doesn't go his way, then it's not game over, but it is if he accepts it.
You're right.
Instead we see Shira come down. She blocks the money bags so they can't heal, and we see a token come down. So I think that this is actually a very sensible play that I didn't see myself.
So I don't think losing this Buster Go unit is that bad. Okay, bear with me on this one. Stannis can just put that unit of bastard girls right on a flank in the start of round 3, and Stannis is going first. That's a swords take for a shot and charge. He could very easily just kill Rickon's unit first thing next turn.
That is true. So they will come on activated, but because of the fact that they're bastard girls, he will be able to use that sword shot charging volley. And yeah, you're true that definitely can wipe out, wipe out Rickon Stormcrow Mercs. Furioku might need to get them. I don't think that they can get far enough away from any kind of table edge to do that.
Not realistically.
And yeah, that will be a very strong redeploy. I did wonder whether or not it might have been better for Furioku to go for the longer, more aggressive charge into the Wardens, because of, at the time, their current state was actually they were a good unit to do that to as well. We're seeing now that Moneybags is blocked, it seems that we're seeing Stannis holding off on Melisandre until the end of the round. He doesn't need to rush to kill these Tullys. He looks to be trying to set it up so that it's as best as he can get it. But, you know, the Caitlyn response to remove the panic token that Shira Errol put out means that we're still basically at 50-50.
Yeah.
It's very good, as I said, though, that he is still working towards the longer term plan rather than like rushing into this, I must kill these Tullys in response. He knows that there shouldn't really be anything that can keep these Tullys or will heal these Tullys back. He doesn't have to rush that opportunity.
Yeah. Now that the horses comes out for Furioku, getting the Davos unit across, this does even up this points over here, meaning that he's holding his own flank now. He's holding his own area. This is going to be a 2 victory point to 2 victory point end of turn. Now, it seems they've forgotten that Furioku should have scored a point.
Mm-hmm. As it currently stands with the table quarters, we will go to 3-2 to Furioku.
Assuming they remember.
Yeah, assuming they remember. If Stannis can strike out with Melisandre, we could see that go to 3-3 with the Tully Cavaliers removed from the board. And we would be, well, in a very interesting position. Both the Tully Cavaliers and the Bolton Bastard Girls with that Red Priestess are huge units to redeploy, especially on the flanks.
Hear me out.
The question is there maybe a sudden charge versus can Stannis use the swords to get those charges off? Because all units come back activated.
Hear me out on this one. When you meld this turn, you don't target the Tully Cav.
Because you don't want them to redeploy, or
yeah, because you don't want them to redeploy. You can have them redeploy first thing next turn, but you definitely don't really want them redeploying on. Oh no, you kind of do. I don't know.
It's tough.
Yeah.
I would say.
No, you want to redeploy them on the turn where you're going to take swords yourself first. So you do want to kill them now, right?
Yeah.
Because if they get redeployed now, you can't take swords.
Tully Cavaliers won't be able to, outside of sudden charge, Tully Cavaliers won't be able to charge on the turn they come in.
Yeah.
Sudden charge, of course, also won't allow a cavalry maneuver.
No.
So really is not a big deal for that. The real question is though, if you're not going to Melisandre the Tully Cavaliers, who are you going to Melisandre? You're going for the Stormcrow Mercs, but we already think that they are well within Red Priestess charging volley kind of damage. And it's that kind of thing that you really think that the Walder and Varys setup from the Rob list would be shutting down and making not an issue. That's the real strength of Varys, is not just that he can stop like zones in general, that he can stop very, very specific moves that can be absolute game changers.
Is this a sudden charge we're seeing come out from Furioku? He's going to take Yeah, Sansa takes sword, sudden charge. Yeah.
So we see him now coming into the flank of the Wardens. They are vulnerable. It is Roderick re-rolling into the flank. This one's a possible kill. Though, again, we're looking at a panic fail.
Yeah, I mean, there's no crit blow this time. It's a crit fail. Crit fail or bust. Interestingly enough,
I guess
though,
on the second thought, I mean, we've got 4 up armor saves with vulnerables, so that armor isn't going to do you a lot. That 6 up morale, though, becomes 7 with the flank. This one's touch and go. If this goes big, then Stannis is in a little bit of a VP hole, and he's really going to have to do some big work.
The good news is Dallas's unit being the redeploy where they did, moving across, is now in prime opportunity to just come across and beat them with a stick.
So question is, does he have counter charge?
You can't play the counter charge
if the unit
anyway.
were wiped out, then it would be of value.
Yeah.
As it is, there is no room to counter charge.
He plays combat prowess. To attacking vulnerable enemy, you can't play tactics cards. I hate Starks. Don't you just love Winter is Coming and...
You know, I don't really see any cards that Davos particularly has that would matter here.
It's just the counter charge, isn't it?
Yeah, I guess. Assuming the wipeout, then it stops the counter charge.
They can't be wiped out. You got to miss. That's only 7 hits. Some big onions. So that's what, 3 saves?
See the vulnerable.
Oh, there's Sundering as well. Only 1 save in the end.
Sundering, of course, makes it a 5 up save with that. Yeah.
So 6
I mean,
dead.
hits a wound practically with that 5 up and vulnerable token.
7 is a pass, right?
Yeah, we will see a pass at the moment. Not 100% sure if they're within distance of the weirwood or not.
I don't think they are. They measured it. I don't think he is. That's 4 wounds. Both are vulnerable. And the thingy taken, though.
That's
Or is he within 6?
Bad
he might
damage.
be within 6. No, he wasn't. He was within 6 of the weirwood. He was within 6 of the weirwood, so he doesn't take the 4 wounds.
Yeah,
he was in,
so that's
within
just
6.
a pass.
Yeah.
It's quite big, but this is, Brett's saying that maybe he should have used Sansa to press the advantage again. The question is does he need to kill the unit in this situation? It's good to get the units off really fast because of the only 1 unit redeploy. Looks like we're seeing Melisandre, I guess, onto the Tullys. Is that a pass?
This is a great play, by the way. Yeah, I'm guessing that's a pass. I'm guessing that's a pass on an 8. Plus
so
1
he's
for the
placing Melisandre for 5 into the zone. And we look like we assume that we're going to then see Bastard Girls move in.
Yep.
But do we not think that that's quite risky with all the dogs and the
unactivated berserkers.
and the berserkers facing off against them, and the activation advantage that the Starks have? He will just countercharge that unit.
Yeah, definitely. The thing is, where Furioka's right now, maybe, 3 activations there. Furioka can play Arya now. We see 1 activation for the combat there, then that'll charge in there. That's 2 activations, so 2 there. Yeah. Interestingly, Furioka will not have to commit on that left-hand side with anything before Stannis has to. But actually, I suppose this gives Stannis an opportunity, right? He doesn't have to go into that quadrant. If the berserkers leave the quadrant, they lose the zone.
That's true. They lose the zone and give up a whole VP.
Yep, but they'll take a VP assuming that
because you have to say, well, what value does the crown zone really have right now?
And we see the Rickon unit move up into the zone here. So Rickon is now in the same zone as Stannis. Sorry, Davos.
What is our total in that zone? We're talking Davos in a unit of
That's 10.
R'hllor Faithful.
3 for the
That's
commander,
10.
7 for the unit. 10 for the... Is it Berserkers are 7,
so
right?
15.
So
Berserkers are 7.
And Rickon's 1 with the
another
Stormcrows.
10 unit. That's 15 versus 15, yes?
15 versus 15.
Okay, which means that again, Furioku could forego the crowns to win that zone.
Yep.
With 3, I think that would be a very astute move.
Mm-hmm.
1 VP rather than doing a crowns test definitely seems a good value at this point.
Yeah, especially with like what's his target's going to be. A unit of Wardens that doesn't really matter if it gets a crowns test. Unit of R'hllor Faithful who just simply won't fail.
Some value. You don't want to do it against the R'hllor Faithful, even if they are, you know.
So we see the Wardens turning and hitting. This is going to kill 1 or 2 guys. Oh! Wardens hit with 4 and 5 dice. Wardens are on a big one. They're on a mad one. Oh, 2 Stark heads. So 2 dead though. 2 dead. That drops them down a rank, which, as we know with Berserkers, is a bad thing.
Yep. Way to make them angry.
Yeah. Let me see the panic test.
Question is, so what's Furioku going to do here now with these Tully Cavaliers? He can be defensive. He can like take money bags as his first activation in the next round, stuff like that. He can try and defend, or he can just start to get some use out of them. And I think I would like to see him pressure the flank of the R'hllor Faithful with the unit. He obviously wants to stay within 1 inch of the weirwood trees because it's just going to minimize that Melisandre effect.
Actually, interesting thing here though. If he does pressure the flank, he still has to stay in his own quadrant. Otherwise, he loses his own quadrant. So actually, he still can't chart. Like he can't really just run these Tully Cavaliers in. He's just gonna have to like float them around this gap, if you will.
Yeah, but in the center of the board, they can apply pressure to the other units based on what they could charge. So I would like to see him move them up a bit rather than being entirely conservative. And yeah, Francesco asks, can Melisandre take a test? We assume that she did do it because it's on activation, and then she replaces taking the board rather than taking a tactic zone. So that's on activation. She gets to do it. We believe it's Tully Cavaliers who was targeted, and they did pass the test. So as we were saying, you know, it's not an average of 12 wounds. There is, particularly in this case, for a good morale unit in the Stark Army, a very real chance that you will pass the test. You cannot assume that that is going to be 5 to 7 wounds every turn.
Yeah. This is an interesting decision. There's some... Is Furioku going to move across?
I would say it... At a guess, he's maybe looking at a position where a unit in combat... When a unit is in combat with him, what zone would they be in? Is maybe what he's considering. But I have no idea where he's moving this.
Is this a swift advance then move? Like swift advance march to see how far he can get, to see if it can block Davos from charging the other unit of Berserkers?
That would be a very odd move. He would be giving up a basically 2 VP swing for Melisandre controlling this quadrant with the dogs in. He can already gain control of that quadrant just by placing Arya into the quadrant, so I don't know what he's seeking to gain there. Really, I think he should be thinking about where these bastard girls are going and where he can position to counter them.
We've forgotten something, and although this meld play looked nice, Sansa, sudden charge, Arya, sudden charge, Sansa, sudden charge, back into hand, Arya takes crowns, sudden charge Berserkers into the flank of Davos' unit. Big rip.
Yep, that is a thing, but as it stands, if he does that now, the bastard girls can tie the unit up, right?
Yes.
Before he could take
the bastard girls could do something about that, yeah. You do not need a 5-point combat unit, Bazu. Specifically, if they have at least 5 army points worth of units and more total army points than their opponent. That's not combat units. Non-combat units is enough to proc the requirement.
Yeah,
I
a
will get
5-point
the...
NCU is enough, Bazu. And it is Melisandre, so she costs 5 points, so it's enough by itself.
I'll double check the full rules. As we know, the short rules don't necessarily have everything written out word for word. I always recommend that, guys. If you're not sure, go and actually read the tournament document with them in, the game modes document, because they are actually subtly different.
Yeah.
That being
they have
said,
been abbreviated so that they fit on a card. They're not always the whole wording.
is Here We Stand even in the current game modes document?
It's still in. It's still under the beta files.
Right.
I had to find it there myself the other day. Yeah.
Why
Don't
they
know
haven't
why
just
they haven't moved it across yet. Don't believe
updated
it's
it
in
at the
War
same time?
Council either. It's not in the rulebook. It's not in the game modes.
Odd one.
I'm not 100% sure what we're waiting for right now.
I think it's Furioku's just thinking. While we wait, NCUs. Yes, at least
Personally, I
5
would
army
like to see
points.
him waste another activation. I feel like Stannis is very close to being fully activated. I don't know why he would want to show his hand by doing something with the Berserkers at this point, considering he has relatively dead activations in the Direwolves and also the Tully Cavaliers. He presumably isn't going to be super aggressive with them and do anything major with them. So, you know, I feel like he should just allow Stannis to play his turn out, then react to what's left.
So, while we wait in chat, while we wait for them to go through analysis paralysis, what do people think? What do people think? Obviously, this kind of devastating impact, kill on the bastard girls at the very start of the turn, open things up, seems to weirdly have come down again.
Yep. The redeploy is looking to be a huge part of this game now. Were it not for the redeploy, you would be thinking this is game over for the Baratheons. They would be too much in a hole, particularly now that they've failed to kill the Tully Cavaliers. You would think that this is a position that they can't particularly come back from. But the redeploy means that they have options, particularly as we've discussed, that they have this very powerful start of turn 3 swords charge straight into a unit, which is going to give up a lot of VPs if they can wipe it out in terms of the Stormcrow Mercs.
How does the redeploy work?
For endline is start of the round, 1 unit may be redeployed within 6 inches short range of your own deployment edge or the 2 flanks, either flank.
It comes in activated. There's the key. Does come in activated.
Yes, it's fully activated, but as we say, those Bolton Bastard girls will be able to take a swords action into a charging volley.
So your area come down into the flank arc over there, confirming that zonal control for Furioku as things stand.
Giving up the option to make a sudden charge this turn with that Sansa, which we talked about. So it looks like we actually see Stannis go defensive here. Of course, if he had invaded with Melisandre, he would have given up his own table quarter now that he's deployed everything to his left-hand side. With
the risk of losing the unit as well.
Choosing to not commit against where these Berserkers will be. He looks to be positioning himself so that he has countercharge options against where the Berserkers might go into Davos and the R'hllor Faithful. So he may be showing countercharge in hand or something like that. And Endline says a super dead Rod. That is that could be a choice. He could come in from and recharge Roderick rather than going for Rickon. It would be 10 points off the board for the round rather than the 5 for Rickon Stormcrow Mercs. And, you know, the Melisandre has much more value. Melisandre can start to pressure into the Stormcrow Mercs much more easily than she can. But as long as the Tully Cavaliers stay within a single Melisandre range, it feels like that is a risk worth taking each turn.
Mm-hmm.
But we will see.
We definitely will.
Personally, I think he will deploy on his own left-hand flank and go into the Stormcrow Merc with the swords.
Mm-hmm.
Except that, yeah, we're right that, you know, Endline's right in that then gives up the Berserkers attacking and just wiping out a unit of Wardens.
Yeah.
And he continues to maintain a VP advantage, really, in that way.
That's very true. I just want to take a moment while we're waiting on the next activation here. We're waiting on Furioku to activate a unit. I just want to say thanks to some people. We've got Ivanolix, for his follow about 53 minutes ago, about an hour ago. Cheers for the follow there, Ivanolix. Rossi, obviously cheers to your follow, mate. Great to have you here. Driinja, I'll probably messed that up completely, but cheers for your follow. And Exodius06, cheers to the follow, mate. That was just about a minute ago. Remember, guys, if you have got Twitch Prime or you use Amazon Prime or anything like that, you'll get a free Twitch sub. I'm not saying you should use it here, but we would appreciate it if you would. But there are plenty of other Twitch streams that you might find more entertaining as well. So go and check out all the other various different Song of Ice and Fire Twitch streamers and all the other Twitch streamers out there as well. But it's a shame to not use your free thing if you've got it. It helps grow the community. Obviously, check out the merch below. I'm not trying to push down for it, but Carlo's wearing a nice hoodie. If Carlo wants to show anything else, is that the Baratheon one?
Yeah.
Your lighting's terrible.
Yeah, because you know, we're not partisan at all here. I'm not wearing a Stannis Baratheon top at all.
Have you still got my t-shirt?
It is one of my favorites. Yeah, I have Stannis and Renly.
Have you still got my ones?
Yeah, of course they're sitting over there. You know, I'm
just checking, just because, you know, COVID and you've had them for like 4 months now.
So you know, and of course, thank you to everybody who's in the chat, everybody who's watching live now, everybody who's sending messages and stuff like that. It really helps us get through this incredibly slow decision that we see right here. Brett says that respawning Bolton Bastard Girls with Red Priestess is BS. Okay, are they winning? That's the question. That's the question you always have to ask yourself. We're talking about competitive play here. We're not talking about a casual game like with your friend. I mean, these two guys are friends and sparring partners on TTS, you know, in the same way that Brett and George played a friendly game. But we're talking about competitive play here. The thing you always have to ask yourself is, are they winning the game? And the answer right now is no. They might cause a big swing in the game. We also have to ask ourselves, Melisandre, most people hate the way there is very little player agency in it, and it's complete random luck as to whether or not your opponent passes or fails to check. But is she winning the game? What is her net effect so far? Her net effect is she's caused 7 wounds to Tully Cavaliers and caused 6 wounds to her own units. And she cost you 5 points to do that.
Yep.
We'll see what her end of game tally is, and maybe it will have caused a big effect. But some stuff's powerful. Some stuff is not enjoyable, and they're not always the same thing.
Yeah. I'll give you a clue. I hate playing at starts because I hate the fact that Winter is coming as a card. I think that card is just the worst. But, you know, I also hate against playing as Varys.
March to get into that position, or have we? Did we see a swift advance?
There's a swift advance come out to get into that position.
See swift advance. So Stannis has not just, like, shall we say, had an oversight in terms of where those berserkers will be. He has generally covered their position, but with swift advance, The Starks have still managed to get out of line of sight arc, and it looks like the Bolton Bastard Girls won't be able to shoot. We also see Furioku kind of looking at where the other unit might redeploy. He is very aware that swords will be the action that Stannis wants to take next round, but there is very little he can do to block it. And so really it's a question of where he will apply that big attack, because it is one of the most powerful moves that Stannis will get to do all game. Where he chooses to use it is very, very important.
This is just absolute classic Stannis. He rolls the non-onion dice for his charge distance, gets a 1 for disorderly, and then rolls 3 hits. Like, guys, these red dice, honestly, at the start of the game, just bloody delete them. They're not useful. Just scrap them out of the game. Use the trays. These red dice are just pointless. The D3 less so. Use the D3. Now, that's going to be a pass on the morale check. That's just sadness, isn't it?
So, we have 5 models left in these Berserkers. We're absolutely, surely 100% within range of what a Red Priestess, Bolton Bastard Girls redeploying in the rear could do and kill. That would secure that quarter for a while, but that's a lot invested into that quarter, and leaves a Berserker charge into the other Bolton Bastard Girls flank. And I feel like at that point, Stannis is chasing his tail continuously, trying to kill whatever Umber Berserker unit has just absolutely rampaged through him. The other choice would be that he preempts the next charge with the Bolton, with the Berserkers, and instead chooses to deploy on the flank of the Berserkers and charge into them with the shots. He could even, I believe, there's probably a position where he can get them in the rear again. He does open himself up to the Wolf counter charges, which is a little bit risky. And we are, of course, talking about Brand's Berserkers for that other unit.
We are.
So that's a very, very dangerous unit. You know,
the extra D3 is just insane. This is really good value.
But that in itself leaves the Roderick's Berserkers on the board always dangerous down to their last rank. If anything, more dangerous as they get to their last rank. And he could easily delete the Wardens, score himself a VP. Like, this is... I think that the game will be decided based on what Stannis chooses to do at the start of the round, where he redeploys, what he charges, and how well it goes.
Yeah. You almost want to deploy Kill Roderick's unit for the threat of just removing that threat this turn. I don't know how he's just scored 3 points. He can't possibly score 3 points this turn, can he? Oh no, with Arya there. 1, 2, 3. And he can only score... Stannis scores one of these, Furioku scores the other. Depending on where Furioku's unit is.
Yeah, it looks like...
Yeah, that's right. Because of the Arya placement.
Yeah, it doesn't... Yeah, exactly. It doesn't matter which... it doesn't matter which quarter they're in. Whichever quarter they're in, they win.
Yeah,
Because of
Bran
and
costs
Hodor
2.
bringing 2 points.
Yep.
That's an interesting interaction between the two of them, being that that 9-point unit just straight up trumps an 8-point unit when they're going head to head in that way. And he has a 9-point unit in the Tully Cavaliers, a 9-point unit in the Bran Berserkers. He has a 10-point unit in his Roderick Berserkers, and that's coming up against 8 points, 8 points, and 10 points in terms of the R'hllor Faithful, the Bolton Bastard Girls twice. So in like 1-to-1 matchups, he's winning by a point across the board. What he's doing is he's losing by 1 point in terms of the value of the NCUs. So as long as Stannis isn't placing NCUs on the board, Furioku is just generally winning from the number of points he can deploy.
Just casually eating my dinner here still, sorry guys. We see round 3 start. Resumes. Stannis has got 3 cards in hand. Furioka's got 3 cards. He didn't. Did he discard another parlay? Or did he actually discard this turn? Actually, I don't think he discarded anything.
We see the Red Priestess. It looks like she's going for the
Rickon's unit.
Going for Rickon. Looks like he's going for the Rickon Stormcrow Mercs. I would actually be interested. Yeah, I would like him to maybe go for the Tilly Cavaliers in this position. This is his real issue. This is his decision. Rickon Stormcrow Mercs, easy kill, 2 points, because of Rickon himself. The redeploy won't hurt you that much, except for the fact that they are a 5-point unit, so they will, of course, kind of net you something there. But all 3 of the other units are the units that you want to be killing, because they are so dangerous to leave on the board.
Just to shout out, this is a flat panic test. With Direwolf's Fervor coming out and the full burn on Mel, this is a flat on 5. Ooh! It's a pass, right?
I assume this is onto the Tully Cavaliers.
Yeah. Flat on 5.
With Direwolf's Fervor, they should be at a +2. I think
+1
should
for the Weirwood.
Passing on a 6 and failing on a 5. And
the Weirwood +1 for Direwolf's Fervor, +1 for additional destroyed rank. So +3.
Yeah, so that's
counters the -3.
Versus the -3. Are they 5 morale base or
base
6?
5 morale. Base 5.
Base 5. Okay. So all those previous things that I said, when I said it's just in favor of Stannis, I was wrong. You pass on a 7 as base when you're within distance of that Weirwood. You are odds on to pass.
Yeah.
I would have, even though that first test went well against those Tully Cav, and that's been a very tempting target ever since. I would like him to have pressured the Stormcrow Mercs with Melisandre. It would have been a much, much more reliable place to get a kill.
3 wounds to the Tully Cav. They'd have to do a -2 check from the rear. I don't know why he's... See how this goes. So 5 -2 is going to be... Oh, yeah, it's passed. So Stannis is going to charge this unit, right?
Yeah, he will charge, and with another set of tokens from the Red Priestess, 6 in the rear, we would expect it to confirm a kill.
Yeah.
There is nothing significant in the Stark deck that can really come back from it.
You just roll a 1.
Of course, there is Roderick's defensive counter. Is that the right one?
Yep.
Could, of course, martial superiority would really, really dent this attack and mean that it might not even be a kill. So we'll see whether or not that can come out.
This is 6 dice without any rerolls. And you rolled a 1 on the charge. But that's a good hit. That's 5 hits. Two wounds on this unit, and there's dead. Splat, go the Tully Cav. 1 point back to Stannis for 2.
The unit is, of course, activated because it came in activated. So we won't just see it fly on into the Rickon Stormcrow Mercs or anything like that. Presumably we'll want to stay out of their line of sight and in this quarter.
We do know both swift advances are gone, I believe. So I'll double check, but I believe both. We've definitely had 1.
We are yet to see. We're yet to see Sansa. So these things are all on the table. If we've definitely seen 1, so it can definitely come back into hand. We've also seen 1 sudden charge. So we could see him pick up sudden charge right here and do a berserker charge.
I really like this move from Stannis, by the way. You just position right up. So, you know, he can turn to face, but he can't get back into his own half.
That's true, yeah.
It blocks him out.
Yeah, that's a very nice move. He can't redeploy, so that's guaranteed him a point. There's no real way that the berserkers are going to come back there. So yeah, it's a nice position. Nice way to score a VP, take a big unit off the board. It'll be a long time now before the Tully Cavaliers back into the game. Can he still clean up the Stormcrow Mercs for those points? Because there is a big swing sat right there. And the Red Priestess still should, in any given activation, have a real chance to like blow that unit right sky high.
Yep.
How much damage will these two Berserker units do? Is Marsara going to pull a sudden charge or make a charge here? Is he going to activate the unit, which is currently sat in combat? I think that is probably his most likely and astute move. I think that we see him activate to counter. He already kind of has the disadvantage on the tactics board. I would like to see him keep being aggressive. But if he does lose the Berserker unit himself, he will have the very difficult choice of which unit to redeploy.
Yeah, because you only get one of them.
Yeah, so it could be a choice to kind of like keep the units he has on the board by taking money bags in response. It's a choice. I would actually like to see Tycho get played sometime soon. I would like him to use it.
Could you not Tycho moneybags here? Heal up your Wardens and your R'hllor Faithful? And just put only 24, pretty much 24, I think it'd be like 23 wounds back in front of that unit. Maybe it's 22.
Yeah.
I think after everything, 22 wounds, maybe it's 22, 23
we are,
wounds.
We are, of course, on Marsara's turn.
Yep.
That's why I think it might be best for him to use Roderick aggressively.
He looks like he is.
Kill a unit before it turns into such a massive tar pit.
He's used mark target to give the vulnerable. And I haven't seen a card play.
Who's he marked the target onto?
He's marked the Wardens.
He's gone for the ones, which looks like that would be a relatively easy confirmed kill for the Berserkers, I would say. Rerolling to hit because of Roderick. We're talking about rerolling your 4+ because of Sundering Armor saves. He should be able to push through 6 wounds.
I'd have thought so. With 9 dice, yeah, I'd have thought so.
Rerolling to hit, yeah, I mean, we're just on the verge of doing exactly 6 wounds,
so it's
just
6
from the
hits,
attack alone.
Then
you
the
shouldn't
reroll
be
is
reliant
8
on
hits.
that morale check.
Reroll 8 hits. He'd get 8 hits, then yeah, 6. Get 4 of them, then half of them. Yeah, but it's exactly 6 wounds from the attack is the exact average. It's different, George. I know George has entered chat. It's a different match. I wouldn't say it's necessarily more interesting, because I don't necessarily think your game was boring. Like, it may have felt boring, but it certainly didn't seem boring. It was like very kind of tenuous the whole time. But this feels very different. It's been very kind of like blasty. This is all about explosions, whereas you guys was all about stopping it.
Of some very explosive damage.
I am. Did he? That's only what? 1, 2, 3, 5 hits? No, 6 hits I can't count. Oops. He rolled the wrong ones. So he's got 3 saves so far, and there's 3 more saves. So there's just 3 dead from the Wardens.
That's interesting.
Interestingly enough, he didn't choose to reroll those extra 3 dice. He forgot about Roderick's reroll.
Those small things like that are what kind of makes a change. What I think they might just be discussing is that he clicked reroll failures and failed 3 dice, which in a way feels like
he rerolled the wrong dice.
But he had re-rolled the wrong dice. We'll see which way the morale check goes.
Oh, that's a pass. Yep. So that Berserker unit's pretty set now.
Been a little bit unlucky there. But actually, he's forgotten his own rules, and those kind of things are going to kill you in a game like this.
Yeah.
You know, guys, you got to get your triggers right. You've got to get your card timings right, and you've got to remember your own rules and your opponent's rules in case they make mistakes too. You've got to know what's going on if you expect to win.
Okay, so he takes the wound there on the priestesses to reroll the priestess, and he's going to take a shot, I believe, into Summer.
Yeah. Should be.
He's got 2 inches here. He can actually shoot the.
Yeah, of course. I'd forgotten about the shift that could allow him to see. But we've seen tokens go down onto Summer, right?
Yeah, it's Summer. He's going to go for Summer.
Yeah. What he should be able to do is, if Summer survives, is actually what he wants. Interestingly, I think he maybe should have decided to charge. Charging and killing Summer would have allowed him to
reposition,
to to surge forth. Sorry, that's the word I'm looking for. Would allowed him to surge forth, probably out of line of sight of the berserkers. If Summer dies to the shot, that's not an option.
Yeah, so here comes the charge. So the wolf did take a wound now, right? The wolf did take a wound, and he should have rolled a panic test because he only rolled a 2.
Well, we see it take 1 wound, which is the absolute ideal situation for the bastard girls, as far as I'm concerned.
Gets the reroll on the charge.
In he comes. We will presumably see the extra wound. The question, of course, is always: is North remembers there? If so, then Roderick reactivating is a real risk.
And there's the wolf dead.
We see a dead wolf for a VP, and I would like to see him surge forth out of a line of sight.
Over here, between the torch pile and the wood. Yeah, that general direction. You got what, 6 inches with them? No, 5 inches is now. You can tell I don't play Bastard Girls at all. There we go. He's clear of the corpse pile. He gets his full 5 inches. I think he gets it out of there. I think he gets out of the arc.
Question is what quarter does he want to stay in? Does he have any choice is the real thing. Considering being out of line of sight arc is the most important part, can he also choose where his which quarter he's in?
It doesn't look like he is. The majority of his
line, and he's entirely stacked into from the viewer's point of perspective onto the right hand side of the board.
The top right.
He will be having 10 points from his commander unit, 5 plus 8, 23 in that quarter, and another 8 in the other. So he should have this side of the board completely confirmed up now.
And interestingly, with only 1 unit, Furyoku can only get 1 point.
With only 1 unit, he can only control 1 of these quarters because he does not have a 5-point NCU to put in it. Melisandre has activated, so Melisandre can't claim a quarter. But yeah, we're very much still game on here.
Yeah, this is a lot more even than it might look, but we'll see what happens here. We see the Sansa come down for the letters, 2 cards for Furyoku, and he'll
that's true. Endline saying that the horse is of course still available, so we can still see somebody kind of making what could be the most important choice, which is movement. You know, like, it feels like horse is really big right now. Of course, letters can have really brilliant value to the Starks, whose deck can allow those kind of movements anyway.
100% I retreat. I take Tycho onto horses right now, and I retreat my Davos unit.
Retreat it into the table court opposite the Berserkers?
Don't even have to retreat it. 1 inch. 1 inch, just so you can get charge into Roderick's unit.
Okay, so you're just going to retreat for the rerolls?
Yeah.
Interesting. Because of the Wardens, you could even retreat into the flank?
Definitely. Oops.
Yeah, I think that blocking horses is important. I think blocking horses is important to Stannis right now, and there is a decent aggressive move that he can do with it. So I think that is definitely the play that we would like to see.
Yeah. Just refresh my chat there. Okay. Yes.
And for Endline, we've seen at least 1 swift advance. We were not actually 100% sure. Have you decided whether or not there are 2 swift advances in that?
I couldn't tell. The packs.
Yeah. As just viewers, we obviously can't interact with the cards other than what's shown, and they're in a very nasty pile at the moment, so it's hard to know whether or not there's a Swift in there.
Cool. Right. Had a bit of a troll in chat. He's now gone. That's what happens to troll. Yes. Okay, so we're still waiting on to see what is going on. What play we're going to see come out. It is Furuku's opportunity to do something.
Yep. Interesting, we are starting to see these direwolves become a liability as soon as we saw them move up the board.
He's gone for the one true king, and he's activated on Davos's unit. So he's Stannis' turn. He's activated Davos's unit, and he's played for the true king. And we see combat prowess, not the other one. Martial superiority played for -2 dice and lose all abilities. So no vicious, and they become weakened. But I'm guessing he got the +2 to hit, the +1 to hit. Sorry. That's all hits. Yep, he rerolls the lot for the weakened token and 3 hits.
Is it not +1 to hit? So hitting on 2s?
Oh yeah, good point. Hitting on 2s, 5 hits. And they save on 5s, right, Berserkers, because they have actual armor. So 2 wounds remaining. Panic test will fail them.
That's not where he wants him to be, considering that the Wardens are not really guaranteed to even take those 2 wounds off. Definitely, if he could have taken horses, I would have liked him to wait that out and take the horses. Yeah. Unless he thinks that NCUs and putting them both on the board is very important this turn, I think horses has a really high value here.
Pass a morale check.
And I expect to see a counter of possible money bags counter because of how valuable with Tully Cavaliers off the board, keeping Roderick on the board is very important now.
Yes.
Not only is he worth 10 points and a VP, but he can't be redeployed, or redeploying him next turn stops you from redeploying the Tully Cavaliers. I would like to... You definitely want him to survive the round. Taking money bags to keep him alive means that the Wardens are very, very unlikely to kill you, and means that he can play into a swords attack as the first activation of next round, being already engaged, and that's where you know, Roderick and those Berserkers are really going to start to do some nasty, nasty damage.
Money bags, heal 3, pass a turn.
So in this situation, those
100%
Wardens are so unlikely. Even if you were to use Tycho to get them back up to a full rank,
hold the line.
You're so unlikely to do that kind of damage.
Hold the line.
We see this
7 on 3s.
I would really like him to use Tycho to force this through. Tycho could have given him 2 extra attacks by bringing
4
the rank
hits.
up.
Yeah.
Oh,
and 3 saves.
3 saves. Like I say, it's a worthwhile attack. It was not going to kill that unit.
No. I even I understand the play. I'd have actually taken horses and retreat to the flank, and then charged Roderick's the unit in the flank. Plays Direwolf Fervor for an auto pass.
Doesn't control the swords, but I guess he's just looking to have it out of hand.
More importantly, I don't think he wants to take the opportunity to fail.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I
there
think
is the outside chance that that unit dies from that panic, but still.
I think
so what
Stannis.
Do we here? What do we want these Brand Berserkers to do?
Well, to be honest, right now, with Furioku's turn, he can Caitlyn onto horses. He can position them wherever he wants, and he can charge whatever he wants.
With the horses still open, I would like to. Yeah, you're right. I would like to see him take Caitlyn and go and
just massacre a unit. Just go and abuse something.
It's looking like a long. It's always hard to tell on TTS. It looks like too far of a distance to go into the rear. of the 2 units over there, but maybe that's actually quite a reliable charge. If he's got anything that's going to help his charge distances in hand, then... But he is, of course, on that corpse pile, so he's only at 5 inches for this first maneuver. He can get off it. He will be able to definitely 100% make a front charge into the bastard girls that are right next to him.
Yep.
That first attack with Caitlyn, because he can also influence with Caitlyn, putting him up to 10 attacks. That's going to really do some work. That first damage on the bastard girls and engaging them and stopping them from being able to charging volley is very important. I think it's too much of a risk in this situation to be trying to get into the back of Davos.
We see it here. We see the horses come out, and this is why I really let the horses play on the wardens, or even on Davos's unit.
How high would he need to roll to retreat his berserkers sideways? Don't know, not very high, but I have no idea why he would want to. He's already engaged and he has first activation next round. That means that he controls the swords attack to begin the turn. His opponent doesn't have Varys. He's on 1 rank. There's almost nothing you would rather have engaged at the start of a turn, right? In my opinion. Why would he be looking to get out of combat in that situation when what he can also do with horses is get himself another good combat?
I've just realised it looks like he did use Tycho on the Warden unit. Tycho has been flipped. So he must have restored the health, because they were on 1 rank, right? The Wardens were on 3 wounds. He must have restored 3 wounds to the Wardens and put 1 elsewhere.
Oh, sorry. I thought that they had survived. Of course, they were on 6 last turn, and then they took 3. So he did use Tycho to get himself up into a 2-rank attack. Yeah, he did exactly what I thought he should have. But they were even with 2 ranks and hold the line, they were not going to kill 5, 6 berserkers, whatever it was. That 4+ hit really just
put them on 3+
kind of comes home in that situation.
Well, there's the second Swift Advance, so there we go. Swift Advance, and now for Ryoku.
Now we see a very
choose what you want.
Charge.
Choose what you want, and you can kill it. Bastard Girls, you never go at them if you want. R'hllor Faithful, they'll die, because they have about 0 armor, just like everything else. And the Warden's being attacked in the rear with Sundering is... Well, everything's paper now.
Situation I've almost never seen. Is he allowed to go 50% on both units here? I forget.
He is. You're allowed to charge multiple units.
He is allowed, right? And then...
Oh, we see a Winter is coming as well, the ultimate anti-Baratheon card.
That's quite important in this situation. It's going to stop a last stand if it's there. That's the big one. I mean, ours is the Fury, but he is using Davos, so that's not an option. Countercharge, there are no countercharges on the table right now. That Swift Advance play looks to really seal this for me into Marsara's favour.
Definitely.
We will, of course, expect to see this unit die. It does have very good morale.
It's net +1 still with the Weirwood. No, sorry, net -1, so it's not even that likely to fail.
-2 for the rear, +1 for the Weirwood means you're only at -1. But
classic old Bran coming in with 3 hits.
That is a very...
11 hits.
Yeah.
That's enough to kill the unit. I hate
There are 11
berserkers.
models.
I hate berserkers so much.
But if they roll a 6, just need 1 6. They roll 2 6s, which means that we're onto the morale test. And the unit has survived. Really high morale. Oh, he's taking models off his own unit there by accident. Did we...
It was on
we saw Caitlyn come down onto this unit.
Yes, it rolled 10 dice. Yeah, Winter's Coming can't use this turn, remainder of this turn. So it stops all counter charge. Should actually be on 1 more wound. He only took 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And he was missing 1, so that takes him up to 9. He should actually have 1 more wound. Gotta check these things, guys.
The morale test is a -1 against their morale of, is it 4?
Base morale 4, yeah. +1 for the Weirwood 5, -1.
The unit stays. That's not a bad place for Marsara at all. It means the unit's not going to get redeployed next turn. He can take swords and kill it off as the first activation of next turn. I still don't think that ones would be within range to kill off those
Roderick unit.
That Roderick unit. They just don't have the damage. So I don't think it's a bad situation for him at all. Seeing a morale test come.
4 wounds to whatever it was. It was to Rickon's unit from the crowns from Shara.
Ah, I see. Yeah, that kind of panic damage is what I would like to have seen him going for from very early. They are not quite within Melisandre kill range.
No.
But absolutely within the Bastard Girls kill range. Blocking swords is an imperative. It will presumably get countered by the Bastard Girls killing Rickon. But that again gets countered by the other Berserker unit probably killing off the Wardens. So, you know, I think this is going to be a very, very bloody round.
4 for the charge, I believe that's in. Davos's unit probably likely to die here. With only a 5+ save.
Of course, I'd totally forgotten that Rickon hadn't even activated this round.
Yeah.
Yeah, this should confirm a kill here by itself.
Which is a double whammy.
It will win the quarter.
Yep, it will win the quarter, and it will. It's more than just that. It wins the quarter, and it takes another victory point in Furoka's favour. But it does mean we can see a Davos redeploy, but that really isn't going to do anything this turn. Unless we counter-charge options, of course, available. That was, what, 2 hits? They hit on 4s, right? 3 hits in total. Davos can actually save these. This is not unreasonable that he can save 3.
And Endline says, yeah, of course, he hasn't got Winter's coming now, so a last stand could really do some huge damage here.
Right, massive thing here. This unit shouldn't even be dead from this because they only took 8 wounds from the previous attack, and 8 wounds plus the 1 they already had, because they only had 1 missing wound, would have put them on 9 wounds. They had 1 more wound, and that extra wound has now killed. Not having the extra wound has now killed that unit off. Keep track of your wounds properly, guys. Keep track of your wounds properly.
Stannis is happy with the last stand, which looks to have come down in counter.
5 dice.
5 hits. He is within distance of the Weirwood tree.
3 saves, because 4+. So 2 wounds.
So not enough, even with a crit fail on the morale, to get the kill.
He did fail the morale? Oh!
Oh, he killed Rickon. He just killed Roderick. He did not counter. He did not last stand into the unit that attacked him because he can attack any unit.
Yeah.
So
and he also controls crowns, so they become vulnerable. So the five hits he got were all re-rolled, and he didn't make a single one. Huge. That has actually potentially saved the game for Stannis. Wow.
That is a big change. What is the table quarter control? Quarter control is 8 points from the Bolton Bastard Girls.
Yep.
4 points from Tycho for 12. 5 points for the Wardens, putting him at 17 versus Stormcrow Mercs and a Bran Berserkers unit being 14. So he has just gained control of that quarterback with that counter.
Now, interestingly, they haven't done the Surge Force from Rickon and the pivots from the other 2 units.
Yes.
The pivot from the Wardens, I believe, happens first.
Killed something in combat and so should pivot. Yeah, like they weren't the unit making the attack, but a melee attack killed a unit.
Yes. So the pivot from the Wardens should happen first because well, this is a question. Does the Baratheon unit get removed first? Actually, it doesn't. the way the rules work, if you die, when you die, the unit is still dead. So if that would end the game because you no longer have anything on the table, last stand does not proc. Because although you haven't removed the unit, it's still assumed the unit is dead, and therefore you have no combat.
No, I believe I'm going to have to 100% disagree with you. I believe the wording is that actually the unit that uses last stand wins the game.
I believe that
before the wording is before this unit is removed.
I believe my
right?
commented on this, and it was last stand happens, but the unit is dead first. It's still dead. It just hasn't been removed.
I'm gonna have to search for that one myself.
I will. I don't take me on that. I believe that was a comment.
I believe that the entire last stand, shall we say, trigger and subsequent set of actions, being the attack and the kill, all happened before the unit died. But
there is a forum post about the mutually assured
Chanel
destruction.
has said that that's not true, then that's not true. But the way the rules are written on the card, it should all happen before the unit dies.
Yes. The thing is because destroy isn't a thing, it gets a bit difficult. But I believe there was the idea of mutually assured destruction, where if I kill you and you play last stand and kill me, it's possible that both units die, and you both have no units left on the board. And yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. And yeah, Brett's saying this is why he wanted to know if Rickon was the unit was going to retreat.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Brett's asking that, but I actually think it's a really big oversight by Furioku to make that attack. Like, I don't think he had tons to gain, and he's just shown how much he had to lose. He's 6-5 down.
Yeah.
Now, they will both redeploy. He goes first. His Berserker unit will presumably do something big. Bran Berserkers, they're still going to have to keep going.
Could you... No, because the Red Priestess is just not facing the right direction.
Of course, you're right. Now that nothing's in combat, if he doesn't block swords, then, the Red Priestess continues to be powerful. But, like you say, they're not pointing in the right ways right now. We've seen Stannis redeployed Davos way away from combat, being worth 10 points right now. He can choose which quarter to go into, and that's just a VP grab. On the other side, we've seen Roderick come down. He's now in the rear of some Bolton Bastard. That's the other Bolton Bastard girls, right?
Yeah.
That Bolton Bastard girl unit, if Rickon doesn't move, they can swords into a charge and wipe out Rickon. There's a ton of VPs on the table right there. I think that Furioku needs to protect Rickon right now. If he doesn't, I believe we will see Stannis get to 10 at the end of this round. He will score 2 VPs for killing Rickon and a unit, and we will then see
Mel claim a zone for 2 zone claims.
And then we'll see Davos definitely win one of these quarters in the opposite corner, I think.
Yeah. We see Arya being used. Arya's being used by Furioku. So, this is interesting. He is getting his Berserkers over to Davos.
Interesting. I would actually like to see him use them to protect the Bolton Bastard, to charge the Bolton Bastard girls.
But he's using Arya to do this.
I don't think that he's going to get there. Unless he takes horses as his first action again.
There's lots of things he could do. He could take horses. He could have sort of a devastating impact.
Has he used Sansa yet? I don't.
Yes, he did use Sansa. He used Sansa. He got
Did
something
he take Swift Advance back? Is that what he did to get that rear charge before?
I think it was a Dials Further. I can't remember. He got something back. He definitely played.
I'm actually saying he's setting up.
He's setting up the second sudden charge.
He could be, but as far as I'm concerned,
he had that already.
The game is set on whether or not Stannis can get a kill on Rickon.
Yep. Baratheon Conviction come down.
Remind me on the timing of Runchild. Can he use it right now? Because if he can, I think he should.
No. Runchild is when after a unit has been attacked.
Okay.
So during this activation or after it is attacked, you may kill Osha to remove Rickon to another friendly unit within long range.
So he can run child between the shot from the bastard girls into the charging volley.
Yeah.
So that can intercede between getting shot, taking the first hit, then move him away. So that could save him in that way for that VP.
Yeah, definitely he could. He could do that. And that
I
is
think
a massive
that would be
option.
very important, whether or not he remembers that rule.
Yep.
Otherwise, he needs to activate the unit to get them away. But yes, as it is, because of the 2 attacks that the bottom bastard girls will be trying to do, which they will absolutely 100% need to get the kill. So Furioku taking his time over his first activation, I think is an important one.
I agree.
Like I say, I would have liked to see the Berserkers go the opposite direction, push through that gap, assuming they can fit. I think they could have pushed through that gap and then flank charged the Bolton Bastard girls, which are currently sat right on the flank.
Take horses. Sudden charge.
Unless we see sudden charge, which we do, into the rear of the Bolton Bastard girls, presumably.
Yeah.
Which is saving grace.
And then press the advantage. He's going to make them vulnerable with Roderick's order.
Everything I just said, throw it out the window. Sudden charge. All of this.
It's because,
I know.
yeah.
Okay. What I'm gonna say is Varys instead of Melisandre would just make the Baratheon list better. It's for me. It's as simple as that. Melisandre, so far this game, has done 9 wounds to her own units and 7 to your opponents, and that cost you 5 VPs. Whereas Varys could have just shut down that entire play and changed the game.
That was not a good roll from Furioku, but he does get to do the reroll. He's got 5s and 6s of crits here. He's going to reroll a lot. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 hits. So this can kill the unit. 11 hits on 6s.
That's a big play.
Vulnerable.
But that was sudden charge straight from hand, right? And presumably he just drew it this round.
Yeah.
So, you know.
I hate Starks. I've told you, Carlo.
It's the combination of some very, very efficient units with a very, very powerful tactics deck with a very, very easy set of triggers for nearly all their cards.
I just find it really depressed. Like, if you look at the cards that... I know he hasn't played as many, perhaps hasn't got, like, cycled as many, but that says everything. Like, Stannis just hasn't gone through nearly as many cards.
You know, Cards just sums it up really, really well. We discussed all these tactical options that were available, how the game was going to go, how things were difficult, like all these good moves that could happen, and then it's just like, bang, sudden charge. Like, throw every tactical thought you had away because sudden charge exists, and the Berserkers are so powerful. I think that is probably the game.
There's an option.
Back again, over to Furioku's driving seat.
Flea bottom
tricks now like a very
yes.
difficult turn.
Flea bottom tricks. This is the Davos card you want on. Yeah, this is just the card. This is just one. It's Swift Advance on steroids, right? You can pivot. You know, you get a free march or a free maneuver. You can just YOLO up 12 inches, YOLO up 10 inches, and then do whatever you want.
So this is the other Bolton Bastard girls now making the move into
and he's going to do the shot and
same unit. And as always, I spoke too soon, and we might see Rickon die here. We'll see whether or not he remembers Runchild.
The morale test on the girls passes.
But more importantly, even if he kills the Stormcrow Mercs, even if Runchild comes off,
bang,
they should control that quarter. And that alone is a gain enough to finish the game off.
The weakened Means
Yes.
there's still
No.
3 hits, so it's still a decent number of hits. Not enough to kill the unit now.
I believe he's shooting right now into
Though he's shooting the
into the charging volley.
Yeah, he's going to do that. Yeah, definitely. He's shooting right now.
The question is whether or not he uses Runchild in this moment. Now's his choice.
He's just lost
He's
3
just
because
been
he should have
attacked.
only rolled 3 dice. He does the morale test, passes it.
Presumably he'll use the panic on that.
Yep, he does.
He will surely generate
more
another
wounds.
token.
That is Ryoku Runchild.
So that probably, let's count it out. He scores 1 for the kill, scores 1 for that quarter. He can put Davos against wherever the Davos can control 1 and Melisandre can control the other. That's still a win, right?
So that unit should only be on 1. He gets the disorderly charge.
This is really close. At this point, Stannis needs to be counting unit points and quarter control. He needs this game to finish while he's up.
Importantly, Melisandre here can just...
away.
You can claim so much with Melisandre here.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yes, moving Rick onto another unit makes the unit that he's moved to cost more points. I hate Rickon as a thing, by the way.
Where
I
did
think
he end up?
he went into
He ended up in
Roderick's
in the
unit.
commander unit. He ended up in Roderick's unit, so that's an 11-point unit now.
Mm-hmm. Charging volley and
that...
hit and run. It's technically after a unit's been attacked. It's not. It's when the attack is completion. Same trigger, maybes, but
yeah,
I don't know. I would say probably not the same trigger because it's not an activation. It's just like an order or tactics card or anything like that.
So tabletop, Brett and Ilya both think that
it might be same
it is
activation.
a simultaneous action. But the unit is dead. Oh, he is. Where's he going with that unit? I would like him to just. I would really like
over
him
here,
to just
in the corner?
shore up.
Just over here.
Okay, I think what he's pushing them into Roderick's quarter, and he's doing that so that Roderick doesn't use horses to come and counter the quarter by himself, at a guess. But I don't know if I agree with that.
The horse is already gone as well.
He wants to score 3 points this turn.
I don't understand why Roderick's unit is unactivated. Oh, North remembers, yeah.
Oh, okay. That's big.
North remembers, but it's at the activation of Roderick. Roderick can't actually see anything. Both Swift Advances are out. Sansa, I believe, is used.
But Roderick now is worth 11 points, which means he's worth more than Davos, and he can go into the quarter that Davos goes into. He can probably do it after Davos based on the activation timings.
Davos is already activated this round.
Of course, he came in fully activated, so he can't even... Davos can't move, but... yes, so he can march him. Presumably, he has the range. He could march to outpoint Davos now, thanks to the North Remembers.
Yeah, it's interesting whether or not charging volley could be used. After a unit completes a ranged attack, after a unit is attacked.
So the question then becomes: does if they both come off simultaneously, does the entire charge, charge attack action, the entire charge process, all happen before the other simultaneous action gets to happen, which is run child?
Which would happen because you do charging volley before counter charge happens.
That's true. So that should have been a simultaneous action, which goes in favor of the active player, which would have been Stannis' choice.
So yeah.
So yeah, he should have been able to deny that.
That is the incorrect
And that
understanding
is,
of the rules.
again, pretty game-changing. That would have been +1 VP. But more importantly, it also means that...
Roderick's unit's only
it
worth
also means
10.
that... Yeah, Roderick, that's his name. Roderick would not be worth more points than Davos.
God, yeah. I always find it really hard when we're sat here watching games where rules like that are missed.
It's a small thing though, and actually, it's not wrong. That is to say, Stannis had... It's not incorrect. Stannis just had the choice.
Yeah.
Stannis was the active player.
No, he doesn't get the
choice. He could have chosen the resolution.
He doesn't.
You
all
say
active,
it
all
should
active
be
players.
right in
No.
that
All
that
active
he should
players
always...
must be resolved first. There is no choice. He can choose as the active player to resolve his triggers first, but all of the active players must be resolved before the unactive players. That is the actual wording. It says you get to choose the active players resolve all of theirs first.
And Francesco, no, we never intervene.
It's only if something like major has gone wrong, where they've literally like miscounted VPs or something like that, because that can happen.
And I mean, like, this is how misinterpretations happen, you know. I mean, like, me and Mickey are both sitting here telling each other different rules. I'm gonna go read the rule book. I believe that simultaneous actions is that the active player gets to choose the resolution, not that the active player always happens first. I'm pretty sure that the active player chooses the order, and therefore, in my opinion, if he allowed Furioka to use it, he effectively chose that his opponent can do it. Would be my, you know... I would say that the rule wasn't actually necessarily played wrong. It just could have been played in Stannis' favour.
Yeah. I think you're looking for, just so you know, it's the third bullet point of simultaneous actions on page 21. I now play all the time with the rulebook up, which is ridiculous because you almost have to
you
nowadays.
Have the rulebook, and you're saying that it is that the active
Page
player
21.
must go first?
I'm not going to put it up on stream because I can't be bothered. But page 21, bullet point 3.
Read it out. I haven't got it up.
All right, 2 seconds. Let's get this game. Where are we? I'm going to put it on screen. We can, and so we will. No, I'm not. I can't.
All right, well, I've got it now, so no need.
I'll read it out. Well, once both players have declared any effects they wish to trigger, those effects will then be resolved, beginning with the player whose turn it is, resolving their effects first, followed by their opponent. There is no choice. You choose to trigger, not choose to resolve.
Only when one player controls all the different effects does that player choose the order that they happen in. Okay. There we go. Yeah, I stand corrected. So it's actually a misinterpretation of the rules. It had to happen the other way, that the charge and attack had to happen before Osha could use Runchild.
Yeah, in this situation you don't interfere with that because that's not, like, it's annoying from our perspective, but in the end of the day it's a mistake and a misinterpretation of the rules that both players have clearly agreed with. If they were looking for a ruling, if they'd have stopped and asked us for a ruling, as TOs and observers, we can do that. We can ask for that ruling, we can get a confirmation, especially as Carlo, but they didn't, so... yeah, exactly.
So it looks like he's going to use that redeploy. He's looking at whether or not 11 inches gets him into the quarter. That is really big, as to whether or not it scores a VP. But, you know, Stannis is still up. He still has Melisandre to put down.
Yep.
Think about it. Melisandre will play into a quarter.
Melisandre can go into the quarter that Davos is in to compete with
that's true.
Roderick's unit,
actually,
and Roderick can never win that.
No. Why use Melisandre? Melisandre can claim a quarter by herself. She can claim the unclaimed quarter, and Tycho and Astoris can be enough points to win the quarter.
Just draw it if you consider that Sansa and Arya coming down. Yeah,
so that Sansa Arya would make it a draw. Melisandre would make it a win. That can't be countered. Interesting. Tycho can't win by himself. What about in the other quarter? In the other quarter, we have Wardens versus...
it looks like Interestingly, if Roderick just marches forward, he'd be in this quarter at the rear. Where Fleabottom's Tricks currently is positioned.
Okay. That looks like why Furioku's basically not happy with the move. That corpse pile has really come to bite him. That extra inch seems pretty important.
Yep.
So if he marches out, then he actually just gives up the quarter that the Bolton Bastard girls have now moved into.
Yep.
It's looking very much like...
This will go another round, I think. I do think there's variations in which...
I think that... Does Melisandre provide enough points to outscore Bran Berserkers? No. That would be 10, and then a 3-point NCU would make Bran Berserkers into 12. We assume that we will see at least 3 points added into that top right quadrant from how we look at the moment. Wow,
so the
this game...
Just charging. I don't dislike this play, to be honest. It's not... Like, it just holds the Berserkers up. They can't just do what they want, and... yeah, I don't dislike this.
Yeah, the unit's not going to die, therefore there's almost nothing that bad which will happen.
6 hits. I'll take that.
He is playing into first next turn, so again, swords is going to be a really big play for him. We're going to see 2 redeploys.
Yep. 7 dice onto this unit. What?
Oh, wow. That's a lot of 6s.
How to roll Berserker saves. They take a minus +1 morale check, so saving on 3. Snake Eyes will kill some things. No,
this game is still wide open.
Yeah, well, it's so wide open.
The point advantage that Stannis has right now is possibly going to carry him through to the end of the game. He's doing very, very well in making 1-for-1 trades. And also winning kind of 2-to-1 in table quarters each turn.
I really want to see what he does with this unit. He's going for the 11 inches forward, which seems to be different than what he moved before. Is that 11? That might be 11. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 11 inches forward. Yeah, that's right.
Where is the unit on the line? Is that what they discussed? In which case it would be... It does look almost exactly on the line.
I think the flag's in this front quarter here, on my left of the screen.
I don't think it actually matters hugely, just because Melisandre actually decides where she goes and wins.
It kind of does. I mean, yeah, I think it's this flank. I think it is this quadrant that Roderick unit is majority in.
Which way does he want to face? Does he want to offer his rear to a Bolton Bastard girl? Shot and charge? No is the answer. But he gives up any real opportunity to go and go after Davos now. Wow. The 3 units. These wardens that have survived all this time are actually money.
Yeah,
effectively. You know, they've done very well.
There's one thing I don't like about this warden charge. Swords is open.
Oh, yes, that's true. And Furioku can't do a huge amount with his NCUs unless...
Surely you just take Tycho onto swords here. Tycho onto swords, because Tycho you're not going to use anyway? Probably? I don't know. Oh, I don't know. Melisandre activates.
And he
burns 3 from the Davos unit. 3 wounds onto... I'm pretty sure that's going to be 3 wounds. I don't know why he's rerolling that. Surely that's a fail. That's definitely a fail. 3 wounds onto the dog?
With the +3?
He killed the dog!
Oh. That's big. That's a move I didn't see coming.
He's just won the
Of course,
game.
a brilliant
He's
move.
just won the
Minus
game.
3 test. Boom. There's a VP.
Dogs,
He
guys.
controls,
Dogs.
he controls 2 quarters. That's it. That's GG.
GG.
That's game.
There's nothing that Furioka can do. Furioka could kill the Wardens to bring him a point back up, but it doesn't matter because he can't get over back to the unit where the BBG is. He cannot possibly get over to Davos's unit. I guess his best option would be to... He should swords kill...
Interestingly, now what that really says is that if he'd moved less far and he was not opposite Davos, but in the Melisandre quarter, he could have saved himself.
Yep.
By the fact that he's just put 2 NCUs down at the same time, it looks like they're basically just saying, this is what I'm going to do, and the game's over.
The only thing that is possible for Furioka to do is kill the Wardens, and then off the backlash of killing the Wardens, retreat the unit into Davos's quarter. But he still loses 2.
Yeah.
Wow.
Assuming that Roderick is in the further back left corner, which we think he is from the way that they've put stuff down. And the way that Furioku moved it as far as possible and discussed, like, looked at the line, that looks like a win. And yep, we see him go to 11-7. Is
1, 2, 3. Yeah, because I think Furioku's not bothering to put any things down. But yeah,
not looking to contest it. Wow, I think he could have got 10-8. But there we go.
Oh, that's made me happy in the world.
A big end.
Oh, it's not. You know what makes me happy about this? Although people will say that it was Melisandre. Melisandre won the game. What won the game was the fact that a dog failed a panic test. That's what won the game. And it was the dogs. Dogs cost games. Sounds like they're good for interview. Do you want to head over?
That's a brilliant game. Absolutely brilliant game.
Do you want to head over and do some interview stuff with them? I might lose you briefly when we go over there, but we'll see. They're in Northern Realms Game Channel 1 if you want it. Oh, it looks like Furioku's going to the standard. Furioku, been on chat with us before. He's not a big fan of doing post-game interviews. He always gets really worried about his English, even though his English is absolutely fine. But cool.
And yeah, I agree with Carl. Really glad that
the Rickon thing didn't matter.
The Rickon kind of misplay, set of rules didn't change the outcome of the game.
Yeah.
Always unfortunate when kind of things go wrong and it massively changes the outcome. Wow.
Cool. Right. We'll head over. Yo, guys, how you doing?
Yeah.
Hello.
Carlo should be here in a second. He's there. He is. You there, Carlo?
Yep.
Hey.
I'm just trying to tally up how much shit we killed.
A lot of shit.
So
that was fun.
That was a big game.
Not for me.
we have to admit, poor Furioku, he didn't notice that Huey's hand had changed, so he was thinking of the old version, and that's why he was being so damn careful for the first 2 rounds.
Fair.
Yeah. So
yeah, from ASOIAF Buldier. I read this scenario from ASOIAF Buldier. Come.
And that was your mistake.
Yeah, big mistake.
Yeah.
So starting with Furioku, what was, as we just discussed, you kind of maybe had a slight misinterpretation of which kind of version of the game we were playing, which is unfortunate. What was your game plan coming in, and maybe like at what point do you think it went wrong, and like would you go for the same thing next time?
Now, if I play this correct scenario, I'm for sure like Tali Cavalier charge. Second round, easy. I'm dead, yeah. I'm dead, but redeploy, you know. But I think my Cavalier dead and dead.
Okay, so basically you're saying that if you'd remembered the redeploy rules, you would have been even more aggressive than how aggressive you were.
Yeah.
For sure. You see, I'm first and second round. I play very defensive.
Yeah, basically, when you were considering sending both wolves into the Bastards, that would have crippled me. So I was very happy when you retreated them back a bit. It was like
My plan this game is kill this bastard kills and this end, but you need to redeploy. I'm not. I'm surprised, you know.
Yeah, no, it's fair. I think, to be honest, it's a good game plan. I quite like that as an idea, and it nearly worked out. To be honest, there was going in from like round 3 into round 4. There was one clutch thing. One thing did it for us, I think, in chat. Was the last stand play to kill off Roderick's unit. But until that happened, we thought you were going to win, Furioka. We thought it was in your hands. We thought you were doing all the right things. But that one last stand.
Plan for 2 fucking rounds. No, it's gonna be important. This is gonna be important.
Yeah.
Everything else got pitched, but the last stand stayed. And clearly it was the right call.
It was.
So Stannis, you won the game.
Yep.
Did it go as you planned it to go? How far had you planned in? And how many things did you think were going to go that way? And how much of it was just kind of playing it by ear, seeing what happened?
Okay, so basically, the first rule of thumb was I can only lose 1 unit per round. Preferably, if I lose something, let it be the Bastard Girls. Simply because they can come back, I can sort, and I can cause mayhem. Mel is just constant bombardment and pressure. She wasn't very useful this game. Well, she did kill off Shaggy Dog and scare the Tully Cavalier shitless, which was very useful from a psychological standpoint. But aside of that, she was relatively ineffective. But the mere fact that she's a 5-pointer gave me so much power.
Yeah.
It was always aim for an empty corner. Boom. That's where Mel goes.
Yeah.
The other thing is, when Roderick was here, he was becoming an absolute hellhole because I had the Wardens punching him, I had the Faithful punching him, and he just didn't go bloody down. And that was really insane. Thankfully, the last stand sort of clutched it and saved the situation. But that was definitely not going like I wanted to. But yeah, more or less, everything was going like I had hoped. I mean, I wasn't happy when Roderick just slammed and deleted the Bastards, but it was in the territory of, yeah, it's acceptable.
Yeah, basically, the redeploy Bastard Gills Sword Melisandre combo very strong from this.
Yeah,
of course.
Hugely.
So, the redeploy had a huge effect upon this game.
Oh, it was
The way this game plays now, was very different to the way it would have played in the old game mode. I'm sure you've both played it before in its beta incarnation. Furioka, for you first, do you prefer? I know you slightly didn't interpret which version we were playing at the start, but do you think that the game mode is better now, or did you prefer the old game mode?
My opinion, this Nef 1 is better. I'm big fan of Clash of Knight, basically. I like this mod. Clash of Knight and this Nef 1. Redeploy unit is always good. It's a lot of tactical decision.
Yeah, there was a lot of back and forth, and I found it actually far more enjoyable to watch than I thought I would. And I think that were it not for the redeploy rules, then that bottom bastard girls being killed in that single activation basically would have almost sealed the fate of the game from the first activation of round 2. So it was good that there was a lot of comeback mechanics.
Yeah, pretty much. No, I would have. If this had been Fire and Blood, I would have been pretty much screwed in shit river.
No, didn't it? Yeah.
And how about you, Stannis? Did you actually prefer it the old way, or do you like this game mode having played it?
Well, since conveniently it favored me, I'm going to say I like the new bit. Okay, so being honest, I'm kind of half and half. So every quarter being worth 1 point kind of favors castling tactics a lot.
Yeah.
1 NCU per quarter that I really like, since you can't just start jamming shit into a quarter and going like, haha, I steal this from you. So I like very much the whole NCU interactions with the with the board. I like how the tactics board kind of becomes a trap to a degree that you have to be very, very careful of. I'm not so sure on the redeploy.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, obviously it's what gave you the key today. But I don't know.
I have to say, my initial thoughts were that the game mode was worse. And when I watched Open City play Brett Lanther, I thought that the game was worse. I think that this game that you just played, maybe like the amount of killing that happened, the fact that people were aggressive, but that there were comeback mechanics, and that there were roughly 1 to 2 units being taken off the board every turn and coming back, I felt that it really hit the right tone right there. I think that it was very, very enjoyable to watch and went backwards and forth. I think that when the Baratheons played the Night's Watch in a very grindy game, it was much less favorable. But yeah, I would say that my initial thoughts were that the game mode had gotten worse, but I really, really enjoyed watching you guys play. So I think I might have to reassess how good I think the game mode is, because that was one of the best games I've watched.
Actually, now that you mention it, I think I'm going to rethink my answer and say that I'm all for it. Especially thanks to the redeploy mechanics being so subtle. They don't affect affect activation card like a Clash of Kings, so you can't get like 3 Phantom activations. It's only 1 unit, so you have to choose wisely. You're actually suffering attrition. It might be lighter attrition or not, but and then the unit coming back activated. That's also huge. Forces you to sort of aim your list to have little tricks, like me being able to grab the source and release Pandemonium, or Forioku digging deep for the sudden charge to be able to smash something in.
Yeah, I think it favors those kind of like weird out of activation actions a lot more, which with things like the Watch Marsara coming out in the future, becoming more popular in general, more of a better way of controlling the game than just solid activations. So yeah, I do think there's merit to the redeploy. Still not 100% on the old, stay in your own zone, score is the same as the opponents. But yeah, I do think it merits having a fight, at least.
And this is first scenario, dog, not works.
Well, I mean, they still give you table control. The mere fact that you had those dogs ensured that you would know, okay, I can run in with the Berserkers, and I know that I can get a free charge and not give a shit. But at least they aren't giving you activation control and giving you objective control and shitting in my face. At least it just gives you activation control, and that's it. And that felt nice. I also really appreciated that neither of us had Varys or Walder, which is a refreshing game after so bloody long. To not have one of those 2 assholes in a game.
Yeah. Although you should.
Do either of you think that you would have done better with either of them?
I mean, Tycho wasn't particularly clutch, so I'm gonna say yes.
You would take Tycho. You would take Varys over Tycho if you were, in retrospect, shall we say? How about Walder over Melisandre after watching what she did? She did kill that wolf for you at the end, but Walder would have killed it anyway with attrition wounds.
That is true, but Melisandre fucks with people's head. I mean, remember Forioku's deployment? He literally huddled up here like if he was some sort of bunch of
entirely
hobos
playing
within
the Weirwood Tree zone. Yeah,
we thought from just on that deployment that we were saying at the time, we thought that there was going to be a big Forioku train just come forward and kill everything on that flank. That was what we thought was going to happen, and eventually it did happen. But you just play that tentatively, and probably the right way, to be honest, in those opening rounds.
I mean, we both did sort of slow. We both didn't go for the YOLO deployment. We both went for like a standard 12-inch deployment, eyeing each other up. As per usual, Stark did the Stark thing. I did enjoy any of the fancy Davos cards till pretty late, although when I finally drew 3 Bottom Tricks, it was incredibly clutch. Just to get those Bastardos out of the line of death, destroy the Stormcrows, and jolly get into this quarter, which was huge for me.
Yeah, definitely. Well then, we'll leave it there.
Absolutely brilliant play, guys. I called that game over in the wrong direction multiple times. I flipped backwards and forwards. Every time a big play came down, I was like, that's it. That one's definitely got to have confirmed the win. That sudden charge has got to have won it for Furioku. You know, this last stand has got to have won it for Stannis. And it just went backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards. And it was a joy to watch. And some really, really brilliant clutch plays from both players. So well done.
Yeah, definitely. Commiserations for Ryoku, although I believe you'll get your own back on Stannis, because in the Wolf Howling event, I believe you're in the final of that. So
we still have 2 rounds left, but yeah, he'll probably kick my ass.
Commiserations for Ryoku on this one. But Stannis, you know, I will be chatting with you later on as a fellow smuggler. But fantastic result for you, and best of luck in the next round of the Masters Championship. Was there any words you wanted to say before we leave you?
Go me, I haven't embarrassed myself.
There you go. Go Stannis, he hasn't embarrassed himself. Furioku?
Always read rule, yeah?
always read the rules. Brilliant.
I think that can be translated to reading is OP.
Reading is OP. Reading is OP.
Yeah.
This is now a learning stream. Reading is OP. All right, guys. All the best. So I'll catch up with both of you later on anyway. But I'll catch you later, guys. You take it easy.
All right,
Yeah.
cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So let's jump back over to here. Right, lost Carlo again. He's look. I've just got my dog face there for the moment. But yeah, cheers. Thanks for coming into the stream, guys. There's a couple of viewers still lurking around. All of the regulars, obviously, thanks for coming down. Any new people, thanks for coming down as well. I'm just going to do a quick refresh, see how many people joined, because it doesn't update us live. Oh, we've had 2 more follows in the last 10 minutes as well, 12 minutes. Tiam the Lubelek. I've probably completely messed up that name. Tiamath Vel Lubelek. Tell me I'm wrong. And Magyar Khan. Magyar Khan, that's a great name. Magyar Khan. But yeah, cheers guys, everyone, for coming in, for signing up, for just tuning in, watching us out, helping me and Carlo just enjoy our day just that little bit more. Carlo, your final thoughts?
What a game. We watched 2 really good streams. They went entirely differently, showing you how this game mode can play in really, really different ways. Baratheons are 2-0 in the Masters, showing that, you know, they can hang with the big boys, taking out a Night's Watch player, taking out a Stark player, and fielding, you know, pretty well. Roderick's actually showing why he's not the highest rated Stark commander, because he just can't quite seal the deal. Would Rob have been a better choice? We won't know. But a very, very interesting game, and I'm really glad I watched it. And you know what? If that's signs of more things to come in the rest of the Masters, poof, we've got a lot of really good games on our hands. So far, we've had an 11-11. Yes, it was a slow game, but it was very, very cagey. A lot of really good play, making really, really tight decisions. Into like a really close matchup, and that one was a game that I thought was going to swing backwards and forwards, totally different, and yet we see ourselves with a really close result that could have changed either way on the last turn. So you know, it just shows that all these players really good. Games can go either way, really hard to call, and I'm looking forward to every single one of them.
Yeah, and I'm super excited now. I've got the secret one in the bank with Basil and Crag, which I won't say any more about, but I've got that secret one, and trust me, that was fun to watch, even if it was only half watching it as well. So yeah, guys, thanks a lot for joining us today. You will catch me and Carlo later on in the week, later on in the day. I don't even know anymore. What day is it? Tuesday? Friday? Monday? Monday. It's Monday. You will catch us later on in the week. We will be posting things up relatively ad hoc. We're waiting on games when they come in. But Wednesday night is looking like our next stream. I've got a stream, I think. We've got another stream later on with... Who have we got? We've got Van versus... Van versus...
Rossi.
Rossi.
Van versus Rossi.
And then later in the day, Spleen versus Khan Artist. So we'll see those on Wednesday. We'll let you know where they're going to be hosted and who's going to be casting later on in the week. And I've got my own game in the TSL. That's going to be fun. And we'll bring you more games Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, depending on what we've got when it comes through. So thanks a lot again for joining us, guys. Check out the merch. Drop us a subscribe if you've got a subscribe. Follow us if you haven't followed us. Be like Magyar Khan and Timofey Lubalek. I've messed that one up again. And Exodius06.